everyone, welcome back to Budget Scenery Workshop. It has been a while, I apologise for that. This has been a rather large build, and on other news, I also have started a job, so that's cool. So, what's the idea behind this build? Well, if you didn't get it from the thumbnail, to go along with the upcoming release of Warhammer theoldworld, which I'm actually quite excited about, because I'm looking forward to collecting Bretonians again, as that's the original army that got me into this hobby in the first place. So I thought I'd build a castle. Now, I've built castles before. I think one of my earliest videos was a castle, but that was a bit of a fail. And it didn't look very substantial or realistic. So I wanted to do a better job this time. I did get a couple of comments because I threw a few pictures out quite early, and they were about the two different sizes of towers that you see here. Now, yeah, they're different sizes, but I thought, in contrast to one another, they'd actually look pretty interesting. And how I planned it out, I thought it'd work and look okay. Time will tell as this video goes on if you think so. Now, these it took me an embarrassing amount of time to remember how to make cones. But yeah, basically you just cut a circle and mark the centre and cut up the middle there, then just fold it. And yeah, I was kind of punching myself in the face when I was like, oh my god, yes, it's that simple. Then when these towers were completed, I decided to give them a little bit of extra height, so I chucked them on a couple of bits of XPS, just to give them a bit more imposing height, because I wanted this castle to be quite substantial and large. So that's what I did. Then with these, I just cut out some of my thinner tiles and marked them down as little paving stones. And this was the actual, I suppose you can tell the size of this, but yeah, it doesn't really click until you see a mini in comparison right at the end, which I have left. And the mini in question is a 28mm, so you will see, to scale. Now these, I've never really liked laying XPS bricks, but yeah, this was quite a task, because what I was doing, I don't know if you noticed, but the two round towers, I was lining up the brickwork, ensuring that each tower had the same brickwork on every level. Then I also matched this with the two sections of small walls, and also the actual gate itself. Like I say, you can't really tell in the unpainted pictures, but towards the end and in the thumbnail, I guess, you can. I have actually sped up a couple of sections because, despite someone that doesn't really talk much, I'm naturally a quiet person. This video I found very wordy, so apologies for speeding it up, but I'll talk you through what steps it is, and what I'm talking about is where I make my very cheap texture paste later on. So these are the wall sections. Again, very easy, just based on foam core, and then just 2 layers of XPS bricks either side, and then you can see I've lined up the actual brickwork so they match all the way through. Now, I was quite happy when it came to putting it all together and it all fit, all looked awesome. And just to make sure it was extra sturdy, I added a couple of toothpicks there and just pressed it down took a couple of times to get it right. But as you can see, on the two towers there, it matches up nicely. Then when you see the pictures of the walls, they also line up. For the walkway, they're very simple, just cardboard and coffee stir sticks, just snapped and then placed in there just so it looks well worn. Yeah, I like these. I like this bit where it's all coming together and you can actually see the final. Now this is a bit where I cut out me talking because it just waffles on. Essentially, that's my texture paste. Get an egg box, cut it up into tiny chunks, put it in your juicer or blender. And when you get that, you get little bite-sized chunks and fill it up about 3/4 of the way with water. Then let it soak for about 24 hours. Then what you want to do is run it through your blender, and the texture you're looking for is kind of mushy peas or mashed potato. Then you want to put it in a sieve and get as much as that water out as you can. And when you do that, you will end up with something that looks like that. You kind of want shredded chicken texture, I guess. But as long as you get as much of the water out as you can. Then I used this Mod Podge. You could use PVA to keep it down to even less, but yeah, it might, because of the extra water in PVA, it might not work as well. It might take a little bit longer. Anyway, so you press it into all the gaps. It acts just the same as texture paste, plus with it being a rough texture with the egg boxes, it dries really rough. It will shrink depending on whether you use Mod Podge or PVA glue. With Mod Podge, it didn't shrink as much. So here I am waffling on again. There I am, I'm just saying I'm really happy with how the texture paste turned out. And for the gate, I wanted to create a stencil, so I decided to use the offcuts of the foam core board. And all I did there was just you make a stencil using some just plain card, draw out the design on that, then just line up the coffee stir sticks for the actual gate on there. Then obviously the gate, I'd have to make the left bit and the right bit, just to save cutting it in half. And just using super glue and just keeping it as straight as I can and keeping as close to the stencil as I can. Now the best way I did that was I glued the bottom bit and the top bit, then just get in between just so it keeps it a little bit straighter and there's no wobbling. This just looking at my hair there, I've since dyed my hair, but that was about a month ago, so yeah, this build has been in the works for quite some time, so I do apologise for that. But just with work and Christmas, it's just been a matter of finding the time. So yeah, here I am just finishing off the gate. Then I would have to figure out how to, because I wanted it functional, so it would open, but fully open, that wasn't really a massive concern, as long as it could physically open, just so, because if I didn't want it to open, why would I bother making each 2 sections? So I came up with a kind of hinge, and all that was just a tiny square of coffee stir stick there, and then a bamboo skewer. And with that, you could see there was a little place to attach something that would be, that would make it open and close. So I came up with these little cable ties. And these are just very simple garden cable ties. Yeah, the wire that runs through it, and it's coated in like a thin plastic for like tomato plants, so perhaps not cable ties. But there you can see, once it had fully dried, as long as I didn't put it right up next to the gatehouse, it would open and close just fine. Then I was thinking about making a little, like you can see there, near the bottom, there's a space for like, what would you call it? I don't know, like a gate brace or something where they would put the wooden beam on. But in hindsight, you know, if this was a real gate, people could just reach through and just lift it off. But yeah, I'm not too bothered about realism that much, so I didn't bother with that in the end. Anyway, this is my homemade like filler, I guess. And all that's just sand, Mod Podge again, and just a little bit of brown paint, just to make it look like a little bit of, just so it like hides the gaps from the tiles from inside the actual gate. And for the roof, that was actually hemp rope that I hot glued on, and then with that wire brush there, I just brushed downwards just to give it a kind of, you know, real roofy look, I guess. It yeah, I could have done a little better with that, maybe slicing it with a knife first, then using that, but I didn't want it to completely shred. But yeah, anyway, so I primed that with Black Magic base coat, which is just basically Mod Podge and black acrylic paint. Then I sprayed it grey, gave it a dry brush of white, gave it a flocking. Obviously I used some black wash, and here is some finished shots just to show you the size. There's a 28 scale miniature, and here we have the front, and coming up is the back. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Are you looking forward to Warhammer the Old World? Please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I will see you next time.